This video is made for adult collectors because the Dinobots are all stupid. We now have this, wow, 4 lines in and I'm already messing it up. We now have what is probably the best quote-unquote affordable set of Dinobots. Nope, still got it wrong, can't read. We now have what is probably the best affordable set of Dinobots. I say that in air quotes because at retail they were fine. Aftermarket, y'all need to chill. But thankfully Hasbro did long runs of Sludge and Snarl and reissued Slug and Grimlock, and hopefully Swoop gets the same treatment. But these are all 5 of the Dinobots. Let's do this again. This is Grimlock. This is Slug. This is Sludge, this is Snarl, and this is Swoop. This set, that's a lot of this actually. This set looks so good together, like all together they look fantastic. They aren't without their flaws, but I think it's a set worth getting for any Dinobot fan. Starting with Grimlock, because he released first. This dude is a beast. Releasing in, I think, 2021, this was the first of the 5 86 Dinobots, and to most people, he's the best. And I can see why. He looks commanding, the colors are nice and swish. My copy, for some reason, has loose back fins, which makes messing with it kind of and the torso red section has some paint chipping, which happened as soon as I got it. Also, Swoop comes with his sword, so now he has his sword, so yay. I do like how everything is all-encompassing and there's like no unnecessary gaps. And he has such a solid base to stand on with those large towers of legs and the big feet. Head is great too, though I would love a toy head at some point. So as to cut back on editing time for me and watch time for you, because I don't want this video to be enormously long, we're just going to quickly skim through all of our articulation. So Grimlock's head is on a ball joint. You got a nice little range of motion there. I wish you could look up a little bit more. That's my only complaint. Shoulder, these can flap back and forth and go up and down. Shoulders, they're ratcheted. They can do a full 360. They can go in and out. You have bicep rotation. Single jointed elbow that bends pretty much all the way. Waist joint, hips are on ratchets. Very soft ratchets, but they can go forward, they can go back, they can go in and out. These are friction hinges. You have thigh rotation, you have 90 degrees of ratcheted bend at the knee, and then you have an ankle tilt with a nice bit of detail that comes out. However, if you go any further, then you see a gap, but I don't think you're gonna be doing that. But he's very fun. So Grimlock was a really good start robot-wise, and he was pretty good at being a dinosaur too. Now let's make a dinosaur. Again, not gonna harp on this too long because this video is already gonna be as long as it's going to be. So to start with, you fold in the fists and then straighten out the legs, or the arms, sorry. They will click into place. There's these tiny little clips here that will click into place. Then you bring the chest down, fold the head up, bring that up for now, and we're just gonna get that out of the way. Then on the back here, you want to open up the legs, fold out the tail on either side. Then you collapse the feet up, and then you just sort of rotate them back like this. And that one. And then it will peg together, and then it will sort of smush up there. Then you bring the tail around and peg it together. Then you bring the torso up, and it will sort of clip around the tail here and lock everything into place. Bring the legs down, fold down the chest flaps, and there you have Grimlock. I love how this looks, but part of me misses all the clear and chrome bits the original toy had. Hopefully, again, we get a toy deco one soon, but this dino mode looks pretty damn good. Obviously, it's the upright T-Rex stance, but you can get it low down if you want to and digitigrade the legs if you want to as well. And his weapons can store, albeit a little bit awkward, but I quite dig the size and heft of this dino mode, though I will say his plastic doesn't feel super great. It's fine, but next to Swoop and Snarl, it doesn't feel nearly as nice. Swoop especially, but again, more on him later. He is also supposed to come with a wheelie. Don't know where it went. Don't really care because I don't like it. Slug time. Slug is my least favorite of the set. He looks the part. That's pretty much how I remember Slug looking in the film, and he works. But just like Grimlock, the plastic doesn't feel as nice, and the joints on mine were a bit loose out of the box. But what bugs me is the backpack. Not because it sticks out. That's normal. That's fine. I don't care. It's how it sits. Accordioning it into place can be slightly annoying, but I find, at least on mine, it takes little to no effort to knock it loose, and it's just flopping there. Really wish it had a lot more like a secure locking one point to firmly sit on his back. His gun is probably the dinkiest of the weapons, but it is not bad by any means. And I've also been told these gray bits up here like to break, so be careful with those. Of course I got a yawn in the middle of it. God, I think I need to sleep more. Alright, so Slug's posing. Head is on a ball joint, but it's a little limited due to the cavity it sits in. The backpack's coming undone again. The shoulders, ratcheted, they can do a full 360. They can go in and out. You get some nice little detail exposed. You have a bicep rotation, double jointed elbows, wrist swivel. You have a waist joint, which is a bit stiff on mine. Ratchet hips forward and back. In and out is friction hinges. You have thigh rotation, which is kind of loose on both sides of mine. Double jointed knees. And then ankle pivot, which does lock when you put it here for transformation. So you have to unlock it in order for it to work. But yes, articulation. So yeah, his robot isn't terrible by any means. Just not my favorite of the 5. The transformation is also a teeny bit wibbly, but you know, just have a look. So to get started with, we're going to get him out of the power pose, and we're going to rotate the fists 180 degrees and then shove them into his dino feet, and then just sort of raise that up. If you hear any banging, by the way, there's construction happening in the backyard. Nothing I can do about that. Lock the feet into place. There we go. And then we are going to open this section up, fold in the head into the jaw, and then bring the jaw up like this. And then just open this chest plate up, fold these sections down, and accordion them into place, and they're going to tab in up here. And that's where they like to break, is when you're untabbing them, so just be careful. So once you get that done, you can close that section up, and that's basically the front of the dinosaur all finished. Then on the back, we're going to take the backpack and just bring it out. You're going to open this section up, bring the foot out, and just, we'll unfold it later. And then you want to rotate the waist 180 degrees. Do the same on this side. Then you bring this up and collapse it in, up, and in. And what it will do is it will peg into the crotch section under here with these little tabs that are on the sides of the feet. So you do that, and then you bring this section down. This is going to then peg into between the legs here. So once you get all that done, you can then peg the tail into the feet at the back. Bring these sections in. They should just clip into place. This one's not cooperating. Why? Why are you not going in? Now you want to take this section here and bring this foot out and down. Bring the foot out and down. There you have Slug in his dinosaur mode. His dino mode also looks great. I don't think a single one of these gets the dino mode wrong at all, and here it looks just as good as Grimlock did. And because his center of gravity is low to the ground and his mass is more condensed, holding this dino mode feels better than Grimlock, even if the plastic is about the same. It's not a very articulated dinosaur, but it's not terrible, and also what poses are you really gonna get a Triceratops into other than standing there? His horns can be removed a bit easier than I would like, which is they can sometimes fall out if you're messing with it too much. Now time for Sludge. Sludge was my first introduction into the 86 Dinobots, and you are getting a lot of toy for your money here. Like the sheer amount of parts, the complexity of his engineering, and the feel and the finish of it, it feels more worth like 60 than 55. But he's neat, though he did launch with a major issue. His knees do this. So the compression on the ratchets is too great, and it just squishes them down, causing them to not be super stable. There are fixes out there like wedging tissue in the ratchets to keep them in, or getting replacement ratchets. There are tons of them out there. But yeah, it is an annoying issue that means a lot of people's sludges couldn't stand in a pose. I believe they did fix it though with later releases. Mine is fine to a point, but they're still a little too loose for my liking. After this video, I will be fixing them. And what I actually mean is after this video, I'll be putting him back on my leader class shelf and then being too lazy to fix it. Just like Grimlock though, he has incredibly large platform feet to stand on. So once those knees are fixed, he ain't going anywhere. So Sludge's articulation is pretty much the same as the others, except this time it's not a ball jointed head, it's only a swivel. So you can swivel it left and right. These can flap a little bit. You have shoulder ratchets that can go full 360. The shoulders can go in and out. Bicep rotations that are incredibly stiff. Double jointed elbows that when they bend, they look a bit awkward because there's like nothing here. It's kind of funky. Wrist rotation, waist rotation, his knees are collapsing. Hips can go forward, they can go back, they can go in and out. Thigh rotation, 90-degree bend at the really loose knee, and then you have your ankle tilt. So he's pretty posable there. One thing I do want to note is that this Stop it. This has seemingly stopped locking in. There's a tab right here that goes into a slot, and it sits in there, and then it comes out. I mean, that took a little bit more effort, but during the posing of this figure throughout the video, it's been just coming out constantly. Kind of annoying. So yeah, he's also pretty good. I think a step up from Slug, but they were still improving the Dinobot recipe, and there are still some things that need to be learned from here. All right, transformation time. This guy is the most complex out of all of the Dinobots, and it kind of feels a little unnecessary in certain areas, but whatever. So to start with, again, rotate the fists 180 degrees and collapse them in, just like on Slug. Then we're going to rotate the biceps 180 degrees to get the feet facing forward and get them sort of situated like that. Then we are going to take the chest, open it up, get the arms out of the way, rotate the chest 180 degrees, fold the head in. I'm just gonna flip that up for now, and it will tab into there. And then just bring these up like that. Bring the front dino legs around and peg them in. And now we have a mess. So rotate the waist 180. We are then going to untab the tail bits here. There we go. Bring this section up and unfold that. Up, unfold that. Fold up the feet. And then we're going to open this section up and bring this around. And then these are going to, there's a peg right here that's going to go into one of these two pegs, or ports, sorry, at the bottom of the crotch. So you just want to make sure you get that all situated properly. It has to sort of accordion in at that angle to work. And the instructions don't really do a good job of pointing that out. And then just sort of line everything up properly. Then you fold the tail in. Then you bring these sections up. Make sure the tail's actually pegged together. Bring these sections up like that. Bring this down, and this will sort of sit in here. If it wants to go in, there we go. Then you bring this section down to fill in the torso. Bring this around, and this will hug everything and sort of tab it all into place. Something's not going in correctly. I don't know what it is. Oh, there we go. Peg that all in. And then there we have Sludge. The gun pegs in under here. The gun pegs in under here. There we go. Sludge. Yay. That's a sick dino mode. Again, it feels like a more substantial toy than his price kind of leads on, but like he still fits in well with the others. I really dig the way his neck is sculpted, and it does have a couple of motion bits in it, but the rest of the dinosaur is pretty much just a brick. I'm not a big fan of how close the robot toes are to the ground. Kind of wish they were a little higher up to not potentially scrape the gold paint off, but they haven't so far, so that's good. Speaking of improvements though, Snarl. Snarl I've done an entire video on already, so I won't spend too much time on this here, but this is where you really start to see a lot of those improvements to the Dinobot formula. The biggest improvement actually being, I believe, having springs in the ratchets in the knees, or at least having ratchets dense enough to make twang noises. Also, push them in. Out of the box, they look like this, and a lot of people's photos, even my own, they look like this. They're out, they're supposed to be in. His sword is starting to just bend on mine. I think it's just because of how weird this summer has been with its heat and cooling in Canada. It's just been weird. But its articulation is also modern. Transformation is pretty neat with how the legs form the front. And his stego mode is pretty pudgy and funky, and I really like it, but I wish the weapon storage was a bit better. Now we get on to what is probably the most anticipated of the 5, Swoop. Good Swoop. No, seriously, it's an amazing Swoop, and in my opinion, it's the best of the 5 figures. And I would kind of hope the last one would be the best of the bunch, because it feels like they took all of what they learned and threw it into this guy. His plastic feels the best. He's nice and dense and thick, like his part walls are good, and he's got a lot of paint, and like there's loads of color on display. He has the best assortment of weapons with 2 rockets and 2 swords, one of which being Grimlock. Stature is probably the best, and his articulation is rad. I dig the shade of blue they use for the entire torso, and the shade of gold really pops here against the blue a bit better than it did on the red of the other Dinobots. The wings are also very thick and chunky, filling me with confidence that they won't snap off if he falls off a shelf. His rockets are also specifically sculpted to fit in his hands, and I'm so glad they did that. And overall, he just feels the nicest out of all of them. Okay, so Swoop's articulation is probably the best just because of how nimble he looks. So you can make him look nimble even though his joints are technically the same as all the other ones. So the head is on a ball joint. You don't get a lot of wiggle waggle out of it, but you get enough, I think. You can look up that far, you can look down that far. There's also a hinge so you can look down even further if you want to, but that's for transformation. The shoulders can do full 360, but the wings can get in the way. In and out, bicep rotation, 90-degree elbow bend, wrist swivel. And then, due to his transformation, not unpegging that, you have backwards butterfly joints. You can also use that if you really want to, but then it starts to look a bit strange. You do have a waist joint. Now, the nose does get in the way, but you can lift the nose up, rotate the waist, and then bring the nose down. It sticks out a little bit if you do that, but you get more range at the waist. Hips can go forward on nice soft but clicky ratchets. Ow, pinch my finger. They can go back. They can go in and out. You have thigh rotation. You have 90 degrees of bend at the knee with a nice clicky ratchet at the top. And then the ankles, they're supposed to lock in. This one does. Like it stays in place. This one though, it likes to come undone quite easily until you like really click it into place, but then at certain angles it will just pop out. But the heels can move down so you can, oh my goodness, see? The foot just comes undone. So you can get him to stand sort of like this if you want to. Stay in place. And then he has ankle tilts. So nicest of all the robots, how about that dino mode? Actually, it's not really dinosaur, but who cares? Now, oh, I just punched my desk. Now, transformation time. It's very simple. You fold in the fists like that, and then you just leave the arms straight down. We're going to take the wings. We're going to unfold them and then bring that section down. And then the arms will peg into the wings like so, and it will activate that butterfly joint. So we'll just do that over here as well. These wings are so satisfying to move, by the way. I don't know, it's just, they're so chunky. I think that's what makes them super satisfying. So once you get that done, we are going to then open this panel up, bring the head up with the jaw and everything, close it around the head, and then close that up there. Then open this section up, bring this up like that, fold the neck in, accordion this inward, and it will peg together very loudly like that. And then the wings are going to come unpegged. Then we'll fold up the feet like so, and then these will just come around and peg in to the back. Simple as that. There you have Swoop. That's so much fun to flip back and forth. That looks pretty nice, but you might be looking at this going, hey, Arjun, that's me, by the way. How do you display that without it just sitting on the belly, scratching all the paint off? Simple. You put him in ground mode. I'm so glad they included that. And yeah, it's just a very good looking dinosaur mode. Wings can flap somewhat. I do wish they could bend a little bit higher at the base of the wings, up and down, but it's my favorite for sure. As a set of dinosaurs, this looks pretty incredible. I have my gripes with them, but I'd say they do a pretty good job overall. I'm glad they decided to package refresh the ones that were still stuck in like post-COVID distribution and Suez Canal blockage. I know these are definitely gonna get toy redecos. Grimlock's already gotten shattered glass and comic, but now that the set is finished, I hope that means the Age of Extinction Dinobots get some love. You just reissued Grimlock after all, Hasbro. A brand new leader Scorn with this level of design and engineering would go so incredibly hard. But that's my look at the Studio Series, what the hell? Studio Series 86 Dinobots. There we go. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.